I'm Kim Pratt, Clinical Director at Constance Brown Hearing Centers. I'm often asked, how important is it to have a hearing evaluation? And I'm also asked, hearing evaluations are usually not covered by insurance, so is it worth the additional investment? The answer to those questions is yes. Current hearing technology uses that information in order to fine-tune it to your hearing problem. As audiologists, we're also using that information to help you decide what to go with, and we can actually use the test to decide how well you're going to do with hearing aids. So here's how we use that information. When you have a hearing evaluation, we're creating a graph of the softest level that you hear speech sounds. We know that speech tends to fall between a pitch range of 500 and 8,000 hertz. So when you're in the booth exhaustively listening to tones, what we're doing is for each sound that we have you listen for, we're marking the softest level that you respond to those sounds. So we also know that in order to hear speech normally, you need to be hearing all of those sounds at a very quiet level. So if you're looking at this graph, and the reason for that is for average conversational speech, so at a volume that most people are speaking, average conversational speech level, here is where those sounds tend to fall. So a lot of the vowels and some of the consonant sounds are what's giving us the volume, but some of these real high-pitched sounds like the S and the TH and the F are not very loud, even in a volume that most people are speaking at normally. So you need to be hearing up in this range here in order to hear the entire speech range that falls below that line. So what happens is when someone has a hearing loss, we typically get something like this. They're not always missing all of the sounds. What they're experiencing is they're hearing certain sounds better than others. So what is that doing to speech? Well, in this case, this person is hearing lower pitch sounds normally. But as the pitch gets higher, they need that sound to be louder and louder in order for them to hear it. So they start hearing here, but speech is happening here. So in this example, they're hearing certain sounds that come below the line, but all of the sounds that are falling in a range that they can't pick up are being chopped off in speech. So a good example of this is the word dish. So for that, a person with this hearing loss would hear the di, but they wouldn't get anything beyond that because the SH is falling up in this range. So they're left having to piece that together. They get di, and they've got to figure out what exactly that person is saying. So in order to hear this person needs help. So hearing aids would be the recommendation. As an audiologist, what we're doing is we're taking this graph and we're deciding, okay, what device will best fit this person's need? So what do they need? What can I fit them with that's going to accommodate for this? So there'll be a discussion about what style and what technology to go with so that it will meet your needs. Then once you get the devices, what we're actually doing is taking this exact information and we're programming that into the hearing aid. So digitally we can program in exactly what you need, and then the computer will create a prescription within those hearing aids in order to accommodate for what's missing. And then it will amplify speech based on what's coming in, so adding more amplification for softer sounds, less for louder sounds, in this case only amplifying this range and not down here, so they really can be fine-tuned to that graph that we created in the beginning. So this information is extremely valuable when we're trying to fit devices. The next thing that people often ask, though, is because this information seems so important in the beginning, why don't we just take the hearing aids after they've been fit, put them on you, put you in the booth, and have you listen to tones, and then just see if you're hearing those tones better? Well, the reason we don't do it that way is that digital hearing aids, they amplify tones differently than they amplify speech. So what they're going to do to a tone is not what it would do to a speech signal. So what we want to do is how we actually test hearing aids at the end is we use speech and then we use a computer to transfer that back into information like this so that we know how to fine tune it so that in your ears We know that if we get that tuned to the exact target that you need, based on all this information, you'll do the very best that you can with hearing aids.